Disney's Obi-Wan Kenobi debuted its finale last month. The fan film, which you can find online, is made by Kai Patterson and is his attempt to fix things he thought were easily fixable in the series and offer up his own artistic interpretation of how these scenes could be strung together to make something that works better. Stay tuned for more news and updates of the movie trilogy. Let's dive in. First up, why was the Obi-Wan Kenobi film trilogy shelved after Solo problems? Obi-Wan Kenobi may have received great reviews overall, but there is one issue that many fans seem to agree on. They want to see more. Some people have a passion for the characters, especially now that showrunners Deborah Chow has created a compelling link between the Star Wars prequels and the original trilogy by putting Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan in the awkward position of having to confront Darth Vader. Some viewers may feel that the show hurried through the action and did not give viewers enough time to grasp Kenobi's desperate condition. Fans nearly received a lot more of what they wanted from the continuation of Obi-Wan's saga. Screenwriter Stuart Beattie said that Lucasfilm had initially intended to make a full trilogy of films with Ewan McGregor playing Obi-Wan. Everyone was on board. Beattie informed the outlet, even Ewan. But Solo, a Star Wars story, presented a challenge. Lucasfilm opted to start again when that prequel featured fell short of expectations, turning the three-movie epic into a single 6-hour television series. Much of what was shown in the first film, Obi-Wan learning to submit to the power of the Force. These ideas were sufficient to persuade Lucasfilm to start the trilogy's production, but because of Solo's flaws, those completed films were never made. Despite his dismay, Beattie has put Solo behind him, saying, "I like Solo personally." He's also moved on to other matters. Even more, he appreciates the fact that his story got told in the show. So, will the Obi-Wan Kenobi movie have a different Luke Skywalker? The writer of the cancelled Obi-Wan Kenobi movie revealed a sequence in which the Jedi Master would face off against a dark side of Luke Skywalker. Originally, the cancelled Obi-Wan Kenobi film featured a scene showing Luke Skywalker turning to the dark side. Ewan McGregor played Obi-Wan Kenobi once more on Disney Plus streaming show, which had 6 episodes and ended on June 22nd, 2022. Obi-Wan Kenobi was originally going to be a movie, not a television series. When the Obi-Wan Kenobi project was first conceived as a feature film, and G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra was one of the original writers on board, Beattie planned for it to be a trilogy of movies, and he has now revealed another iconic Star Wars figure would have been incorporated. Beattie reveals in an interview with The Direct that during a scene in his upcoming Obi-Wan Kenobi movie, the scene involved Obi-Wan being transported by the Vision to Mustafar, where he battles a man wearing a dark robe, but it is actually Luke Skywalker and not Anakin Skywalker. The intention was for Obi-Wan to see that focusing on the past will send Luke down a dark road and mimic the Force vision Luke experiences in The Empire Strikes Back. It's noteworthy to remember that years before they eventually did it on The Mandalorian, Lucasfilm had always intended to bring Luke Skywalker back in some capacity. It's unknown what the strategy would have been for Luke in the Obi-Wan Kenobi film, but considering the negative reactions to the technology used to digitally age Mark Hamill in The Mandalorian. Next, why will Obi-Wan's original Reva plan make the ending worse? Obi-Wan Kenobi radically changed its plan for Reva, which is why the rewriting resulted in a more satisfying conclusion. Obi-Wan Kenobi brings a variety of new characters into the Star Wars canon, from Tala, the covert Imperial, to the mischievous robot, but few stand out as much as Moses Ingram's Reva. Reva, a former apprentice in the Jedi Temple who survived Order 66, rose through the ranks of the Empire, becoming an Inquisitor to take down Darth Vader. She plainly fails, without even pulling out his lightsaber. The Obi-Wan Kenobi tale of Reva was not intended to come to that conclusion. Darth Vader would have killed Reva following their one-sided combat. In Beattie's original screenplay, Reva was credited with persuading Darth Vader to cease pursuing his old master because he believed Reva's brutal third sister antics rendered her beyond redemption. Beattie's Reva plan avoids the strange subplot where Reva kidnaps Luke Skywalker. In the framework of a movie trilogy, Reva's demise may have made sense, but for the television series, it didn't. Reva's survival allowed for a better ending, strengthening not only her character, but the last episode as a whole. Additionally, having strong characters around opens avenues for potential future appearances with so much Star Wars content planned. And now, who were the Jedi in the tombs in Obi-Wan Kenobi Episode 4? One of the most unsettling scenes in the 4th episode of Obi-Wan Kenobi is the preservation of multiple Jedi corpses in Fortress Inquisitorius, one of which will be recognizable to lifelong Star Wars viewers. By the time of the events of the original Star Wars trilogy, the Galactic Empire had controlled the galaxy and carried out genocide against the Jedi Order, practically eradicating their population. The Sith Order and the Inquisitor program also turned Jedi to the dark side, often through torture, proving that the Empire's wickedness extended beyond simply executing Jedi. In both canon and the Legends timeline, there are numerous Jedi Purge survivors, which seems to devalue George Lucas's depiction of Order 66, and the accompanying purge that left only Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda alive. In spite of this, there are relatively few Jedi surviving in both continuity lines, given that there were about 10,000 Jedi in the Jedi Order during the prequel period before Palpatine's takeover. During the Empire's rule, many Jedi survivors rightfully traded their Jedi identity for survival, abandoning the Jedi way and leading largely regular lives. The Obi-Wan Kenobi Episode Part 4 depicts the Empire's horrifying usage of the Jedi's body, even though the majority of them were dead by the time the original trilogy's events concluded. Although the episode doesn't explicitly state why the Inquisitors are keeping Jedi corpses, other Star Wars works suggest possible applications for them. So, is Obi-Wan Kenobi completing Disney's Disney Star Wars prequels. With the new Disney Plus series Obi-Wan Kenobi, Disney's Lucasfilms had made a dramatic adjustment in how it treats programs linked to the Star Wars prequel trilogy. Actors Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen will return to their roles as Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader, respectively. 17 years after Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith, Obi-Wan has been a part of the Star Wars universe since the first film, but Obi-Wan Kenobi will concentrate on Ewan McGregor's portrayal of the role, and how he evolved into the more secretive figure Sir Alec Guinness portrayed. The prequel trilogy was something that the business made an evident effort to avoid during the first several years after Disney bought Lucasfilm. Although Star Wars The Force Awakens had to start up where the original trilogy left off chronologically, it made sure to exclude practically all elements from the prequel films, with the exception of Kylo Ren's suggestion to employ an army of clones. The first season finale of Star Wars The Clone Wars was published around the same time, whereas Star Wars Rebels, the first Disney-produced Star Wars animated series, was centered on the Galactic Civil War. A type of prequel's renaissance, however, started as the sequel trilogy came to a close while receiving harsh criticisms for attempting to duplicate the first trilogy, and as Star Wars started exploring for alternative compelling narratives to adapt. The Book of Boba Fett featured an actor from the prequels as its main character, and now Obi-Wan Kenobi is focusing its marketing on the returns of Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen while bringing back the nostalgia of the prequels. This therefore precisely captures how much Lucasfilm's strategy for that specific Star Wars era has altered. And finally, why did Disney initially avoid the Star Wars prequel era? The prequel trilogy about Anakin becoming Darth Vader was not well regarded when it was first published, yet it continues to draw in new viewers every day. The George Lucas Star Wars trilogy received a scathing criticism for the abrupt change in the movie's aesthetics, contradictions with the first three films, bad dialogue, excessive use of a green screen, and poorly staged performances. Along with the films receiving harsh criticism, numerous actors included Hayden Christensen also faced overblown criticism that had an adverse effect on the rest of their careers. Even while Star Wars The Last Jedi caused controversy, nothing compared to the initial outrage that was the Star Wars prequels. Especially the first two movies, caused among fans of the franchise and critics alike. Disney owns the rights to the Star Wars franchise, and since then, there has been more content produced for the series than there was when Lucasfilms operated it independently. The House of Mouse is effective at finding talent from all around the world to give fans a ton of new Star Wars films and television episodes. Though there are many brilliant people working on the project that will ideally advance humanity far into the future, decision makers may eventually succumb to the urge to go back to the past successes. That's it, folks. You have made it to the end of the video. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you drop a like and subscribe. Oh, and turn on the post notifications. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'll see you in the following video.